Hi, I'm Hepsie, a hobbyist indie game developer from France, and I'm working on a video game called The Baking Show for a little bit more than a year now. It's been a while since I uploaded my first devlog called Devlog 0, which was more of an experimentation with this format than a real devlog, to be honest, and that's why I called it number 0. Anyway, now I'm trying to find a format that I feel more comfortable with and doesn't cost me too much time because, to be honest, making YouTube videos is so time consuming and I prefer to spend most of my time on actually developing the game. In Devlog 0, I showed you how I decided to efficiently start the project. I also showed in details my process for finding my art direction with all the iterations it took me to be satisfied. And I ended the video with sharing my plans for the future of the game. If you haven't seen the previous devlog, you can go ahead and check it out, or don't, if you have more interesting things to do. Anyway, starting with the goals I shared in the end of Devlog 0, I will present you everything I completed in the past 6 months. To be honest, I surprised myself with the amount of content I was able to create. Then I will again end this video with a more clear roadmap that I've planned out for the rest of the development now that the project is getting more and more clear in my head. But first, what is my game even about? Well, it's a game about making cakes. In this game, you are watching a baking show with a weird anchor who forgot her own recipes. So you need to recreate those 4 cakes in order to complete her recipe book. As you can see, it's a 3D game, and I'm making it with Unity, Blender, and Procreate for 2D assets. I'm aiming at a short gameplay between 30 minutes and 1 hour where you will bake all 4 recipes and get to know more the characters in the show because yes, there will be a story unfolding throughout the gameplay. I ended Devlog 0 by presenting this graphic. These were all the things I had in mind in order to complete the game. So the main thing was implementing actual gameplay. And then there were a bunch of other things needed for the game to feel complete. On those past 6 months, I've started working on the actual gameplay as well as a selection menu and a sort of cinematic ending. To be honest, I don't even remember what I meant by this, but I did create some context around the actual baking game. For the main menu, I opted for a very minimalist approach with play and pause buttons acting as reminders of the TV show aspect of the game. There is something very special about adding a main menu for your game. It doesn't take that much effort, but it feels so much more complete. I started sharing a demo of my game to my friends just after I finished this main menu because it finally felt like a solid demo. For the context around the baking game, I wanted to explore the concept of someone watching a TV show. Let me put it this way. In my game, there are 2 characters, the anchor that presents the baking show, and the person who's watching it. So I decided to create a scene of a bedroom where you would launch the actual episodes of the show. This scene is not like the main menu, it's part of the actual gameplay. And there will be elements in the bedroom scene hinting at the storyline of the watcher, as I call them. Using my past experience of building the TV show scene, I started by drawing a concept art. Because if you didn't know, I tried many times to create a scene without prior concept art, and the result was awfully bad. Since I can somehow draw a little, I will never make this mistake again of jumping right into Blender without the solid concept art. So, this is the illustration I made. My intention was to create a cozy bedroom of someone watching a TV show at night in their bed. I totally envisioned a chill lo-fi music for this scene. Anyway, this is the scene I came up with. I started adding very subtle interactive elements, but I will work on implementing the actual scenario later on. Through this scene, you can access the TV show scene, and I really like this animation. So, the game loop will be, you start the game in this bedroom, you launch an episode throughout which you bake 1 cake, and then you come back to the bedroom scene, and if you want to make another cake, you will launch another episode. The last piece of context I added was, as every TV show has, ending credits. This serves as a transition between the TV show scene and the bedroom scene. This ending credits is very basic and I will definitely be improving it. The next thing I worked on is the most exciting one. It is the first actual gameplay mechanic, one of the minigame to bake the cake. I plan to make 4 or 5 minigames in total. In this one, you will be applying whipped cream to your plain cake. When you get to this part of the baking, you can select a piping bag of the color you desire to apply and then create any design you want on the surface of your cake. I received feedback from my friends that it would be satisfying to apply full lines of whipped cream as well as single dots, so I guess this minigame can be furthermore improved. I don't know how interesting it is for you to know about the technical aspects behind the making of a game. When I personally watch devlogs, I get easily bored by technical aspects, even though I am a developer myself. So I will not go into too much details and I'll just explain how this minigame works. Let me know if you want to know more about in-depth technical implementation and code, and I can make a separated video about this. When you select a piping bag, the game stores which color you have selected. Then, with the piping bag selected, when you hover your mouse on the cake, it detects the allowed spawning surface. Finally, when those two conditions are met, having a piping bag selected and hovering an allowed surface, you can click wherever you want and this will spawn individual whipped cream objects. The goal of each game loop is to recreate one of the 4 recipes that are lost. So on each baking stage, you need to meet certain conditions in order to create one of the 4 valid cakes. In this stage of applying whipped cream, the only thing stored is the color of the cream applied. For example, if you want to recreate this cake, which has white whipped cream, you need to apply only white cream on your cake. I did not add a condition to detect the exact position of each cream object. I thought that would be overdoing for now. But technically, it means that you can complete the I want everything cake with only 1 cream component. I might improve that winning condition in the future, but that will depend on the feedbacks I get. The last thing I did since the previous devlog was some polishing on the existing assets and mechanics. For example, I replaced this hideous recipe book by this new one. Then I improved my language and dialogue system. So because I'm French and my parents mainly speak French, I wrote the dialogues in English and French as well, in order to be able to show my game to family members. I wrote all the dialogues in scriptable objects, and then I had a dialogue manager to which I could pass on the scripts I wanted. So when I wanted to send the demo to my family, I needed to create a build of the game with the right script passed to the dialogue manager. In order to easily be able to set the language yourself in the game menu, just like basically every video game ever, I updated my scriptable object so that it can contain more than 1 language for each dialogue line. This way, I can store all the different translations in the same place. Right now, there is only English and French, but this way I have the possibility to add more languages in the future if I want. The dialogue manager has a variable storing which translations it needs to use for rendering the dialogues. When you click on the language options at the start of the game or in the main menu settings, you simply modify this variable. So, that's all for the work I did since the previous devlog 6 months ago. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the updated roadmap I have planned for the rest of the developments. The first thing I want to start working on, because I haven't done anything about it yet, is the music. When I presented the bedroom scene, I said that I envisioned a chill lo-fi track to go along with it. Since I have a very clear vision for this music, I will start with this one. I have some experience with music composition, but to be honest, I'm pretty bad at it. Yeah, so this will take some iterations, some learning, and the help of my friends because some of them also enjoy music composition. I thought about hiring someone to make the music for my game, but I want to give it a try first, and if I cannot compose anything good enough, then I will reach out to a composer. For the final game, I will also need an upbeat track for the TV show scene, a track for the main menu, and obviously a bunch of sound effects. The next thing I want to work on is the remaining minigames. Making this first one about whipped cream gave me a more clear vision of what I wanted to do for the other games. I have 3 ideas in mind. One interactive way of making a mold, one game for mixing food colorants, and one game for placing toppings on top of your cake as well as on the sides, which is currently not possible. Hopefully, I will come up with more ideas during the process. Another topic I want to work on is making my game way more dynamic. First, I want to redo the anchor character because I've mentioned in the previous devlog that this character is from an old project and it served as a temporary asset only. Then I will add many animation to this character. And finally, I'm thinking of adding a bunch of interactive UI for making my game more fun. I'm thinking of something like Korean TV shows, I don't know if you know these, where they write keywords and reactions on the screen to make the show more engaging. I will see how I can recreate this with 2D assets and drawing. And finally, the last thing that my game will need in order to be finished is the implementation of the scenario. As I said during this video, I will put hints of the scenario in the bedroom scene and I will also add some in the TV show scene. This will not be a straightforward scenario with dialogues, but rather hints and environmental clues that will immerse the player in the story of this person binge-watching a baking show. I have most of the scenario wrote out already and I'm so excited to start implementing it. I roughly estimate that I'm halfway through the development of my game since this is a fairly small scoped project. That being said, we all know that game developers tend to underestimate the amount of work a game takes, so I might need 3 or 4 more times in the end. I guess we'll see. That was everything I wanted to talk about. The final big news is that I have an available demo that you can find at itch.io with all the work I presented in this video. If you have the time, I hope you can give it a try and give me a feedback because that will be so valuable for me. The demo only takes around 10 minutes to see all the available content and allows you to bake one of the 4 recipes. Anyway, do as you please. Thank you so much for watching this video. That was Hepsie. See you next time.